And good morning, everyone. Again, I'm Craig Mateski. I'm the president of Acacia Insurance Services. I see that this morning we have over 100 people that have registered for this presentation, and I do appreciate that. We're a national long-term care agency with over 30 years of experience in the market. I personally spent my early years with Axia Insurance Services for 10 years as a Western Regional Manager, and have now managed my own national brokerage for about 10 years. And we market all long-term care products, hybrids, traditional, and short-term care as well. So anyway, you can see here on the screen a little bit about me, a little bit about getting contracted, our email information, and hopefully our goal today is that we will have a presentation from Jamie Sarno. Jamie is the National Sales Director with Aetna Senior Sales, and in fact, Jamie was instrumental, from what I understand, in helping develop these short-term care, home health care, recovery care policies. And also on the call is Daniel Memory. Dan is the regional sales manager in the West region in Illinois and manages the Western states, including California. And with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Jamie Sarno. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Craig. Thank you. And good morning to everyone else out there. Yeah, it was a great introduction. Thank you. And just very quick background, I've been in the senior market for 35 years. 24 of those years was strictly long-term care. Long-term care is near and dear to me. So I'm a fan. I'll always consider myself a long-term care agent. And I just think you're going to really enjoy what you see today. And let's see here. So we'll just get started. And I will show this slide again at the end of the presentation for anyone that hasn't taken a snapshot of it or written down the information. Make sure you get that because Craig's excited to work with you. And so are we. And we'll do a little Aetna logo there. So what I'm going to do is this. We're going to go over I know that a lot of you out there, you're seeing people under 65 because that's really the big long-term care market. I know 60 sometimes is the magical number. And you're going to see some things on my screen that show Medicare. Okay, and I just want you to know, I totally understand that not all of you are dealing with Medicare individuals, but you may have it to where you're seeing an individual that's going to be coming on to Medicare. And if anything, this will help you prepare for those type of people. And the ones that are on Medicare, you're going to know this. So forgive some of my slides for talking about Medicare, but there's a lot that I think you will want to know on this. And with Aetna, we are the division Aetna Senior Supplemental. So we deal with a lot of people 65 and over. But these products start at age 50 and they go to 89. You're going to see that in a little bit here. But for Medicare, Medicare's constantly changing right now. And very quick history on this. When Medicare first started, or I should say right before Medicare was signed into law, you had half the people 65 and over had no coverage whatsoever. There just wasn't anything out there for them. So when Medicare was signed into law, it was a very big deal. You had 1 million people enroll just the first week. And we all know what it is today. Instead of half the seniors going to one hospital stay or having a hospital stay and losing everything they have, it's a great safety net right there, being Medicare. Now, when they first started thinking about Medicare, of course, they needed to know life expectancy. And life expectancy in 1965, 73.8 was a female's life expectancy, 66.8 was a male. So when you think about this, that's a very good deal for the government because we pay in our taxes. All of us pay Social Security and FICA, Medicare, taxes. We pay them our whole working adult lives. Us men, we turn 65, our golden years. We're supposed to be gone 1.8 year later, then they move on to the next person. Females get to live 8.8 years, and then it's supposed to be on to the next person. But guess what? 2020, life expectancy has risen, and so they did get that wrong, and I'm very glad they did. So a female now, average lifespan 81.1, male 76.1. That's a huge number to get wrong when you're building something like this, healthcare for a nation. The baby boomers. You know, we're all dealing with baby boomers. I'm the last month of a baby boomer, so I kind of gauge it by that. And we all know the number, average 10,000 people a day. So right now, currently on Medicare, there's 44 million people. All right, and now all of these people that are 55 and up, prime target for long-term care, short-term care. Guess what? We're going to be adding another 35 million people to Medicare, which gives it a grand total of 79 million people. So it's going to explode, and we know the numbers that we're seeing right now out there between 55 and 65. It's huge. So we're going to capitalize on all of those. Now, very quickly, why do I have General Motors up here? I wanted to talk a little bit about this so you know the state of Medicare, because General Motors was one of the first big corporations to say, wait a minute, we got a problem with our baby boomers. We have a record number of employees who are retiring, going on our retirement health insurance and our pensions. And they were one of the first ones to say, we can't do this anymore. And that grew. Other companies started following suit. They said, 4,700 retirees from Honeywell, we can't do that anymore. We're out of there. AT&T was a huge one. They canceled their retirees insurance plan. And a lot of them restructured them. They offered something, but nothing like what they had. Ford did the same thing. IBM, you see, we could do this all day. Pfizer saved millions. Last one, Sears is closing its last Chicago store. What's killing Sears? Its own retirees, the CEO says. So my point in this is Medicare gets everyone. When they turn 65, they may be going through chemotherapy, kidney dialysis, just really a rough time. Medicare does not have the choice. They get everyone. These big corporations couldn't afford it, so that leaves Medicare in a bad place. And when you look, the number of workers per Medicare beneficiary is falling. In 1965, you had 4.5 people paying in for every one Medicare beneficiary. Now, 2020, only 2.8 people paying in for every one Medicare beneficiary. So people living longer, compounding with 10,000 people a day and less tax dollars coming in. Now, I have the Affordable Care Act up here. This affected everyone. You know, it was passed in 2010. It was signed into law 2013. But what they needed to do to balance the books to show the Affordable Care Act could make it is they said, we need to eliminate waste and fraud out of Medicare over a 10-year period to the tune of $716 billion. So that's exactly what they did. It's been going on, and if you look at this chart here, you'll see cuts in Medicare. You can say cuts, reductions, whatever you like, but it adds up to be the same thing, $716 billion from 2013 to 2022. And if you look at that, you'll see hospital services, number one, Medicare Advantage, home care, skilled care, hospice care. All of these things have slowly been changed over the past 8 years. And when you slowly start changing things, you don't really notice it at first. But as time goes on, you notice big changes, how it affected Medicare and really the consumers on Medicare, their pocketbooks. So Do Medicare reductions end in 2020? No, just for everyone out there, so you know, the new budget plan has another $451 billion over another 10-year period. So these changes in Medicare and getting your clients that are in their mid to upper 50s and their early 60s approaching Medicare age, it's important to know what's going on, because I think just letting them know, hey, we got to get you prepared for this. You got to understand what's going on with Medicare. Everything's going to change. You're not going to have that major medical anymore through the company. Here's what you're going to have. So I think you'll like this part. So largest reduction, Part A hospitals. Part A Medicare is room and board charges. Right now, seniors on Medicare really don't get to stay long in a hospital. It's 2 or 3 days, then off to the skilled nursing for 20 days. That's typically what happens. So how do you take $260 billion in reductions from something that's only a couple of days use typically? Well, here's what you do. You look for, Medicare said, what's costing us a lot of money, or the industry lots of money? Hospital readmissions cost the entire industry $26 billion each year. What that means is this. When a patient is in the hospital, they have whatever procedure, they get discharged from that hospital, they go home, within 30 days of being discharged, they're back in the hospital again. That's a true readmission. And the way Medicare looks at it is this. The hospital, if they would have done a better job, the patient wouldn't be going back within 30 days for a readmission. So what we need to do, we need to penalize the hospitals to get them to listen to us and to perform better. And this is interesting because what they're doing, and this is out of Kaiser Health News, this right here, I know it's a little hard to read, but these are hospitals in certain cities, certain states around the country, and what you'll see is Medicare decided to penalize up to 3% of any hospital's Medicare reimbursement if they are not performing well, if they're having too many of these readmitting patients. If they have too many readmitting, they're going to lose anywhere from 0 to 3%. And it's been going on since 2015. And you'll see it all over the place. 3%, 1.45, 3%, 0.47. So you get the idea. It really is, it's all over the place depending on the performance of the hospital. But this is millions and millions of dollars that hospitals are losing, because it's not just up to 3% on a patient that was readmitted. It's their entire hospital reimbursement that they're getting from Medicare for the entire hospital. So it's millions. So that's difficult. Now, the second biggest thing to happen to get this $260 billion are Medicare audits. And so what is that? What that is this. Medicare has what they call a rule. It's called a 2 midnight rule. When a patient comes into the hospital, typically they're going through the emergency room. The doctor that's on call has to make a decision. Is this patient going to spend at least 2 midnights in our hospital? If they are, they know Medicare will say that's a valid hospital stay. Yes, bring them in. But if they're not going to stay 2 midnights, they're not supposed to admit them as an inpatient because that's invalid. So who polices this? How do they know if the hospital's doing the right thing, if the doctor's doing the right thing? Well, they have what's called Medicare Recovery Audit Contractors. And it's a third party contracted, hired by Medicare to determine the legitimacy of each patient's hospital admission. So they get to come in to the hospital. They have free reign. They get to go through all the medical records of any Medicare recipient. And here's what they're looking for. If a hospital makes the wrong decision and admits a patient to inpatient status, the auditors can determine that the hospital stay is invalid. If the admission is invalid, the hospital will lose all of its Medicare reimbursement for that hospital stay. So it's not that 0 to 3%, it's 100% of that one patient stay. So this is a big deal to hospitals because they're looking at this and saying, how do we correct, people being readmitted? Yes, we can follow up and do a little home health care, but how do we second guess if we should admit them or not? And here's the kicker. These auditors, the way that they make money is they get a portion, like a finder's fee, of every time they find where the hospital made an invalid hospital inpatient stay. So they are sending anything they can find. The kitchen sink is sent in. They throw everything at Medicare saying, look at this, look at this, look at this. And they say it's backed up years. These auditors have sent so much in because they want to make money and they feel that the hospitals are doing the wrong thing. So here's what's happening. Anytime you put someone in a corner or an organization in the corner, they're going to figure out ways around it. How can hospitals control Medicare penalties? And I don't know how many of you deal with Medicare and do not, but here's what they're doing. There's a thing called observation status that is being used right now, and it's very much on the rise. We all know observation in a hospital is maybe we stay a few hours, we're on the gurney in the ER with the curtain pulled, and they're going to observe us for a while. Maybe we spend the night, maybe. But when they place someone in observation status, they're not going through Medicare Part A, which is hospital. They're considered outpatient. Everything flows through Medicare Part B, as in boy, which is medical. So this can have big alternatives that are not good for the patient. And this is what they're doing. And I will show you right here. You can see over 2 million hospital observation stays. I know it says 2017. It's still over 2 million, just so you know. And so basically this, someone's coming back into the hospital for a readmission, don't admit them, place them in observation. That way the hospital avoids the penalty. Somebody comes through, they're in the ER, the doctor has to make a decision. Are they going to stay 2 midnights? I don't know. I'm not sure yet. We got to run tests. Don't admit them, place them in observation. We can always change the status and put them as inpatient, but it's not retroactive. So here's what it's doing. It's creating a huge problem for traditional Medicare recipients because one of the big rules that Medicare has is this. Now you're going to hear me say another rule. 3 midnight rule, not 2 midnight, but 3 midnight rule says you must be admitted to a hospital as an inpatient for 3 midnights, not counting the day you're discharged, to receive 20 days of skilled nursing care in a skilled nursing facility. That way it's paid by Medicare. If you're held in this observation status, those 3 midnights do not count. You can be in there 3 nights, but it doesn't count because you're an outpatient. So here's what's happened. For any of you that haven't seen this NBC video, I will send this to Craig. It's on YouTube. But this 79-year-old lady, she broke her leg severely, went to a hospital, was in 3 midnights, was discharged, went to a skilled nursing facility for 20 days, received a bill for over $28,000 for her rehab. And that's the raw bill of 20 days without any insurance. So it was sky high. Because I'm sure a lot of you say, well, that sounds very expensive. This is the raw bill, no negotiations for insurance. So she knew I was in that hospital room. I was in a hospital bed. I had the hospital bracelet, the gown. I spent the night, 3 nights. I was there. Unfortunately, Mrs. Jones, I can't remember what her name is. Unfortunately, Ms. Jones, you weren't. You were considered an outpatient. So Lots of lawsuits happened because of this, and they did not change this status. It's still there, but what they said they would do is they would change one thing. They would make it to where hospitals must give notice that if the patient is in this observation status within the first 24 hours of the confinement, the hospital must approach them with this form right here, Medicare Outpatient Observation Notice. And it says you're a hospital outpatient receiving observation services. You are not an inpatient because, and it will give the status of why. But basically, this form exists so the patient knows you will be responsible for your skilled nursing care and some other things because you're being held in observation. And on the back of this form, there is a place for the patient to sign, to date it, and to timestamp it. And I've always asked this, what if a patient says, I'm not going to sign it? And that's a great question. And I do know the answer to that. Hospital procedure is that hospital representative that is having the patient sign it says, I'll be back. They go get another hospital representative, so there's two of them, and they offer that patient to sign it again. If they say, I refuse, then both of those hospital representatives sign off saying patient refused to sign, but they were explained this. So you're on notice, you've been served, just so they could avoid lawsuits. So that was a big deal. And just so you know, there's even a new penalty for nursing homes for being readmitted if a patient leaves a hospital, goes to a nursing facility, leaves a nursing facility, goes home. If they're back in the hospital within 30 days, now the nursing home can be fined up to 2% of its total Medicare reimbursement. So these things are constantly changing. And I think it is important to know, even for the folks that aren't on Medicare yet, if you didn't know you were going to be an expert in Medicare, today's the day. But we're going to get to the plan here to save the day. But I also want you to see this right before. There's what they call a Medicare and You book. Every year they'll get a new one. Typically comes out September, October. Every senior gets it before the new year hits. And they all have this. Their names are printed on it. They know it's their book. Most of them know exactly where they can find this book. So if you're having a face-to-face or you're on the telephone, you can say, hey, Mrs. Jones, go get your book and turn to page 28 of that book, and you're going to see it says, am I an inpatient or outpatient? Without a formal inpatient admission, you're still an outpatient. You must be admitted as a hospital inpatient for 3 midnights in order to get Medicare to pay for 20 days of a skilled nursing facility. So this shows them that Medicare's telling them they have an issue. And I'm having lots and lots of agents out there, representatives that are on the phones right now, and this is what they're doing to kind of build the need. They're having them go get their book. And I love what they're telling me too, because they give me the feedback. They say, you know what, if I'm talking to an individual and they won't go get the book for me, I know I don't really need to spend a lot of time with them because I don't really have control. So I thought that, you know what, that's very true. So if they go get the book for you and they're listening to you, they're engaged, that's always a good sign. Now, I'm a long-term care agent. I told you at heart. So what's the difference? Here's the difference. Any benefit period, it can be nursing home, assisted living, same exact coverage. Any benefit period that is under 365 days is short-term care, considered short-term care. Any benefit period 365 days or more is long-term care. And I will tell you, just those you're going to see short-term care, we go up to 360 days. Those 5 days make a huge difference because short-term care plans do not have to hold reserves in the state. The underwriting is nowhere near. Our underwriting on short-term care is less than what an Aetna Medicare supplement is. Nowhere near what long-term care underwriting is. You'll find that rate increases and I will say this, everyone knock on wood, because we're all long-term care, never had a rate increase on Aetna short-term care plan. So you're going to really see something here that is like long-term care, but not long-term care. And we all know the stats, decline rates for long-term care, 50 to 59 is about 22%. And as they get older, it only makes sense, 60 to 69. I'm not telling you all anything you don't know, 30% on those. So with the declines alone, short-term care is a great idea because we're giving help where help is needed. And I like stats. Average duration of a male in a nursing facility is 0.88 years, so not even a year. For females, women, 1.44 years. And as you go up, probability of need, 1 year or more, 22% of men, 1 year or more, 36% of women. And then as you get up to 5 years or more, you'll see 2% chance for a male and 7% for a female. So I just think this is good to know, because you can see the first year, 2 years are very, very important. And 49% of long-term care claims actually last 1 year or less. Coverage for short-term care has been found to be appropriate and affordable. And it's also important to remember this, 94% of long-term care policies sold have a 90-day elimination period. So why is that important? All of our clients that we've put on long-term care plans that have a 90-day elimination period, they're not covered for these. If they're on Medicare right now, they do not have coverage for observation. And then going into a skilled, intermediate, or custodial nursing facility. So I'm going to show you how we can even contact our old book of business if you wanted to. It's out there. I forgot I put this in there. Just to show you, home health care has even had a new thing. Oh, I didn't put the slide in. I apologize. Okay, everyone, we're coming to the plan. This is Aetna's Recovery Care Insurance Plan. Continental Life Insurance Company of Brentwood, Tennessee is Aetna. Aetna bought them, and they have been doing an amazing job. And I know that this brochure says Illinois, but this is 98% of the states out there. The coverage is identical. You're going to find Texas is one of the states that's much different, and we can talk about that at another time, and Craig can fill you in, and I'll fill him on it. But recovery care, it has a quick view underwriting drug list. So yes, it is a yes/no application. So a yes answer disqualifies the person. But as I said before, you're going to find this is long-term care light in underwriting. It doesn't have half the questions or half the hurdles that a long-term care plan does. They will do this. No underwriting phone interview. Right now, a lot of us can't do long-term care right now because we can't do the personal interview in person. You do not have to worry about that. There is no phone interview, no personal interview that has to be done with this plan. No medical records required to issue the plan. They're not going to do that. They're going to go strictly off of two things: the application, and they do an RX check during underwriting. And if there's any drugs that pop up, and you will see that drug list, I will show it to you to show you how it works, but it's very easy. No hospital stay required to use this. You'll see the triggers are the same as long-term care, and I'll go over that. But no hospital stay means it doesn't matter if they're in observation or not, if they're on Medicare, because we're going to pay. Now, here's a big one, and I want to take 60 seconds to make sure this is a lifesaver right now. I will tell you something. There's a lot of major carriers out there that I know many of them that have said we're doing 1/3 of the business we typically do during this pandemic. And I'm going to say this. This one thing right here has caused Aetna Senior Supplemental not to skip a beat. Would you believe they're doing the same business they always do? They're still breaking records. during all of this. And what I'm going to tell you is Aetna has an e-app. It's an amazing e-app with, we all have the in-person, we have the wet signature, of course. And most carriers for an e-app, they have two different ones. They have the e-signature or they have the voice signature. E-signature, we all know how it works. You can bounce an email back to your client. Don't have to be there. They click on a couple things, send it back, it's done, which is fine. But what if they don't have an email? What if they're not computer savvy? Then we do the voice signature, right? And that they got to hit a couple of voice prompts, say their name, say I understand. It can also be confusing. Aetna Senior Supplemental has an amazing third or fourth option. It is a personal security question signature. So much like when we choose our banking passwords, you get asked, what is your high school mascot? They even ask something, what's your favorite color? The one that I use is, what is your mother's maiden name? Because that's unique to each person. And I will say, Mrs. Jones, what's your mother's maiden name? This is over the phone remotely. I'm on the e-app. I punch in. I get to put it in. McGillicuddy. I put in McGillicuddy. Boom. I hit enter. Guess what? Everything is signed. Nothing has to bounce back to the applicant. No voice signatures to do. Nothing. It's done. So in this time of need where we all need to earn a living and help our clients, this is a lifesaver, and it really has helped the company, and that means it helped its agents, and that means it helped its clients. So renewal premiums. Now, I told you that Aetna, Continental Life, has never had a rate increase on their short-term care. How long have they had short-term care? They've had short-term care since 1996. Never had a rate increase. They have no intentions of having rate increases because it's very well managed. Now, if they raise the premium, they'd have to raise it on everyone in the state the exact same way they had to do with long-term care. But renewal premiums do not increase because of age or health changes. So you'll never see a rate increase because of that. And the trusted household name of Aetna. We also, as professionals, we need to be offering our clients a brand name. And again, that's why Craig has us here today, because Aetna is a pillar. Since 1800, and I'm saying it right, 1853, Aetna has been around. So you've got the name, the stability, all the above. Now, benefits. You can sell someone, issue ages 50 to 89 years old. If their birthday is tomorrow and they're going to be 90, you can still write them. No gender-based rates. No height and weight chart. Usually agents are standing up, clapping, and saluting over that one. It also comes with hospital coverage up to 365 days. It's actually a requirement. A lot of states require a $10 hospital indemnity be sold with the plan just because of the way it was filed in the states. So if you're wondering why it says required 10, that's why. You can choose a daily hospital benefit anywhere from $10 to $300. Again, I typically will keep it at 10 unless someone really, really needs hospital coverage. Pays in addition to any other insurance. Now that goes for the hospital part, the nursing home, the assisted living, and the home care. It does not matter if, let's say that everything works correctly and Medicare pays the first 20 days, or they have another insurance or long-term care plan that pays the first 20 days or 100 days. It does not matter to Aetna Senior Supplemental. This is an indemnity, a true indemnity. It will pay its full amount no matter what the bill is, or if something else or someone else has paid the bill. It'll pay its full face amount. It will pay any licensed nursing facility. Does not have to be approved by anyone, just has to be licensed. and you can choose a benefit amount for the nursing home of $10 to $300 per day, and it will pay all levels of care, skilled, intermediate, custodial care, and you can choose the benefit period that you want. So you can choose a 90-day plan, 180, 270, or 360-day plan. And this is what's amazing. The facility care, you can actually use twice in a lifetime. So if you give someone a 360-day plan, they actually have 720 lifetime days there. The way that you access that second 360 days is it needs to be separated by 6 months where the insured did not receive care or did not need care for that 180 days. Then if something else happens and those triggers are met, they get another 360 days. But it's not just the nursing home. Oh, I'm sorry. Choose a waiting period. 0 day, 20 day, 100 day. And yes, this means elimination period. So I've always been a zero elimination kind of guy. And I will say this. Remember, it's going to pay in addition to any other insurance. Giving a 0 waiting period lets me tell them that the observation problem's taken care of, first day coverage, and when you look at this, you will see that this plan can be used. What if you gave someone a long-term care plan with a 360-day elimination period and you put in this plan, or I guess it would have a 365. But if it had a year elimination period and you place this in with it, you're going to make the long-term care plan less expensive. And when you see what this premium is, you're going to say, oh my gosh, I can really use this. Not only nursing homes, but any licensed assisted living facility. If they want to go to the Taj Mahal of assisted living facilities, they can have up to $300 a day to go there. And that's wonderful. So the nursing home and the assisted living benefit are one benefit. It's either or, but they have the choice. They can move in between, use 6 months there, 6 months the other, does not matter. So that's amazing too. Now, here's what is a game changer. At the bottom of this brochure, you'll see home care rider optional. What's very, very cool about this plan is any licensed home health care agency, medical or non-medical. We all know, and I'm mentioning Medicare again, Medicare will only let people have or prescribe medical home health care where it's got to be a physical therapy, a speech therapy, respiratory therapy. And it's very limited. It's about an hour every other day. That's about all you get with Medicare. Medicare will not pay for like visiting angels, care tenders, those type of things where it's really custodial care. That's what most people need. Guess what? This rider will pay the non-medical visiting angels, those type of home health care agencies. All they have to do is be licensed by the state. And this is a weekly benefit, not a daily, like the nursing home above. So you can choose $150 per week, up to $1,200 per week, and you can choose covered period of 13 weeks, 26 weeks, and 52 weeks. Yes, with twice the number of weeks in a lifetime. So this is important to note that this rider totally separate than the nursing home and assisted living. So this is actually another 52 weeks of care. There are 2 years of benefit here, a year of nursing home and assisted living and a separate year of home health care, potentially. And you can use the home care rider twice in a lifetime, same thing, separated by 6 months where you didn't need care. So yes, you could use this plan, the maximums, 4 times. And I know it sounds too good to be true. This plan's being sold right now all over the country. And what I love is this. When we built this plan, and Craig referred to it, I was thrilled when they said, hey, would you help us design this? You were in long-term care. I always knew long-term care agents were going to be the agents that really got this plan. And I know a lot of you may have been apprehensive about going to short-term care. Trust me, I get it. Nothing will take the place of long-term care. I'm the first to tell you that. But there is a niche here. Not everyone wants to afford long-term care or can afford long-term care, or maybe because of health, they just can't pass the underwriting. This is the answer, I promise you. Craig only brings you the best, and I promise you this is the best. So rates, what are your rates like, Jamie? Here they are. I chose age 65, first day coverage, 0 waiting period, so no elimination, no hospital stay. It's got skilled intermediate custodial and assisted living. There is no home care on this, but I want you to see, I just threw up a 90-day plan because I wanted you to see this first. I want you to see how ridiculously inexpensive this is. $100 a day for 90 days is $9,000. I know it's not a lot of benefit, but guess what? It's $16.74 a month. A $200 a day plan for 90 days is an $18,000 benefit, $31.69 monthly. $300 a day for 90 days, $27,000 in benefit. For any nursing home, any assisted living, only $46.65. Now, I just wanted you to see the ridiculous. Now, this is even more ridiculous when you see this. Here's $100 a day for 360 days, right? We maxed out the benefit. $42.94 for a 65-year-old. $200 a day, $72,000. $84.11. $300 a day for 360 days, $108,000 in benefit, $125.27. So for annualizing that 125, so whatever that is, around $1,500 a year, they have $108,000 worth of benefit. Pretty spectacular. When we design this, it gets sent off to the actuary, and you don't talk to the actuary, you don't talk the actuaries into anything. They price this out the way it should be priced. And when they came back with this, we were thrilled. And this plan, just to rest your brains, does very well. It performs excellently. So you don't have to worry anytime soon about rate increases. I'm not going to say that word again. Activities of daily living, same as long-term care, as long as the policyholder cannot perform 2 out of 6 ADLs, the plan starts. Or they can have cognitive impairment and it will start. So either one, both, doesn't matter. If they're using the home care rider, those same triggers apply. There's one extra thing that they have to do. They have to receive at least 3 weekly 1-hour visits on separate days. So all that means is that home care part, if it's $1,200 per week, if they just receive 3 1-hour visits on separate days, Aetna's going to give them the full $1,200. They don't have to have care every day. Aetna doesn't care what the bill is every day. And I didn't say this before, but let's say that they go into the nursing facility, they have $300 a day, and it only costs $250 a day in the nursing home. Aetna will still pay the full $300 to the insured, as long as they haven't assigned it to the nursing facility. Then they're going to get all that money, and then they can distribute it the way they want. So, like I said, it's a true indemnity. And there's one other thing I did not mention. It's this. Let's say you run into, we all have the client where we're talking about nursing homes, we're talking about assisted living, and they say, I'm not going to that nursing home because I see those COVID patients are dying in there. What if they just want home health care? Here's what you can do. As long as you give $10 of nursing home and you give $10 of the hospital benefit, you can maximize the home care rider to its full potential. 52 weeks, $1,200 per week. Now it looks and feels like a standalone home health care plan. So that's something good to know. For anyone that says that out there, hopefully we're not going to hear that very much, but we may, and there's an alternative to that. So here is the footprint. This is where we are right now. And I know some of you are saying, I can't, they're not in my state. But if you work remotely and it's normal for you, all you got to do is get appointed in that state as a non-resident, and then have Craig appoint you, contract you, and you're off to the races. So here's what it looks like. If you want to take a picture of that, I'll leave it up here for a second. But if we're not in your state, it doesn't mean we do not want to be there. We do want to be there. It means the Department of Insurance has certain requirements that either they do not allow short-term care, or they just want some really odd things going on with short-term care. But we're trying to get into every state, so never say never. Now, that is all of the recovery care part. I want to show you something real quick. We do not have, what do we got, about 13 minutes here, and I won't even take up that much because we want to talk to all of you for questions right after this. Now, I just told you how you could use the recovery care as a standalone home health care plan, but Aetna Senior Supplemental also has what they call Home Care Plus, a standalone home health care. So why do you have that if recovery care can be that? Here's why. On recovery care, I told you the underwriting is amazing, very good, much better, nowhere near long-term care underwriting. And they basically look back 3 years at certain things. Have you had cancer in the past 3 years? Things like that. On this home health care plan, this is the plan you pivot to when recovery care is unavailable because of health. And I'm going to show you why. This only has a 1-year look back, 12-month look back. And when you see what you can write, you're going to be very interested. So, same things as recovery care. This has no height and weight chart, a quick view underwriting drug list, no underwriting phone interview, no personal interview needed, no medical records are ordered. If they have a claim within the first 2 years, then they will order medical records and they will look to see if a misstatement was made on the application. If it's over 2 years, they don't order anything. No hospital stay required, of course. Renewal premiums do not increase because of age or health. There's never been a rate increase on this plan either since '96. And with all of Aetna Senior Supplemental, you get that great personal security question e-signature. So here's what I wanted you to see. Home Care Plus. Now, before I show you what's acceptable, I want to say this. Here's the difference in recovery care, home care, and Home Care Plus. Home Care Plus does not pay for custodial care, does not pay for visiting angels type of things. It has to be skilled care in the home, meaning it has to be a therapy visit. As long as they're getting 3 visits per week and it's medically necessary, it's not ADLs. So ADLs or cognitive impairment are not the triggers on this plan. It's all about, is it medically necessary? And as long as they get 3 visits per week for an hour duration on separate days, they're going to get the full $1,200. So day-to-day care of someone that just needs a sitter in their home, or just needs someone to come in and cook and do lunch, that's not going to pay for that. This one is not going to pay for that. Recovery care, different story. This plan, I'm going to show you, and I'm setting it up because look at what you can go write today. You can write someone that has memory loss, Alzheimer's, diagnosed, seizure disorder, cane or walker use, Parkinson's. With these things, you can't get recovery care, but you can get this. Heart attack, stroke over 12 months, cancer-free over 12 months, oxygen use right now, connective tissue disorder, rheumatoid arthritis, those are both one and the same, diabetes with no insulin limit, dementia, and macular degeneration. So I show you these, and you might say, well, how can they do that? Because, like I said, they're not going to take care of the day-to-day care that they would need. You can't just say, well, I'll get through the pre-existing conditions and I'll hire a nurse for my mom. That's not what this is. So what it looks like is this. You'll see it looks very similar to the other, but it's medically necessary. So they need a therapy visit to trigger the benefit. So physical, speech, occupational, intravenous therapy, and antibiotics, wound care. As long as they're having these 3 small visits, 1-hour visits on separate days each week, they're going to get up to $1,200 a week. And you can go 13, 26, 39, 52 weeks. And yes, you can use it twice in a lifetime, provided there's a 6-month gap where they did not need or have care. So the way I set this up, and here is the definition, medically necessary. So if I ever meet with the loved ones of someone, and maybe I'm meeting with a spouse that can get long-term care or can get recovery care, and the other spouse can't get either one of those. Maybe they're just diagnosed with memory loss. I tell them, you're doing a great job helping taking care of your wife, but the one thing that makes all this not possible is if they become bedridden, if they break a hip, if they have a stroke, and they have to have physical therapy, speech therapy, respiratory therapy. Aetna has a plan to where if they're coming in, giving your wife physical therapy 3 times a week for an hour on separate days, we're going to give you $1,200 a week. You can spend that money on the care it doesn't pay for. So if you tell them how to use the plan and when to use it, when you can use it and you can't use it, they understand it and they use it. And I promise you, I have sold many of these, and they're very happy, and they've used them many times. So that's really the end of those. I wanted to give you a quick view of this. Once you call Craig and you get contracted with him, you're going to get access to this, AetnaSeniorProducts.com. And once you get an agent login number and all of that, you're going to be able to click on products and you'll see drug list. So if they can answer everything no on the application, you know to go to the drug list. Click on that and you're going to see this page. And the green button there that says change selection, and you see right there, it's on Hospital Indemnity Flex. Well, over on the other side to the left, you'll see Home Care Plus, Recovery Care. You will highlight those. And what I have found is if you click on that download PDF, instead of getting, you see a little light blue at the bottom, that's what the drug lists look like. I don't like that look, but if you hit that PDF, you get this beautiful streamlined drug list. And you'll see, now this one, of course, says hospital indemnity, but I want you to see, let's see here. Hold on a minute. I'm losing power on my laptop for some reason. Sorry about that, everyone. I don't want to go dead here on you. And we're almost done. This shows you, it will separate the the policy, and just imagine this as Recovery Care, Home Care Plus, but a lowercase drug is generic, uppercase brand. I don't know if you really need to know that, but the important thing is this. An X indicates the medication is unacceptable. But be very careful when you're looking at this, because a lot of times we glance at it, we go, oh, there's an X, I can't get it. Because if you look at this, Actigol, you'll notice something. There's a condition listed there. A condition listed means a dual-use drug. If the applicant's medication use is not for cirrhosis or what's listed there, then the condition, the medication is acceptable, even though there's an X there. So make sure you look at that very carefully. It will save you a lot of heartache, because anytime you see an X, you go, oh my gosh, is there a condition? Yes. And just make sure in the underwrite, when you're doing the application, and you're putting down Actigol, 20 milligrams, make sure you put down what it's for. Because if you leave it blank, they'll assume it's for cirrhosis and it'll be kicked out. You need to put down the condition. So there's my more dancing stars. And home care, just so you can see, a 65-year-old, there are the rates. That's for Home Care Plus. I maxed it out at $1,200. You see each benefit period there all the way up to 52 weeks. Grand total of $62,400 is only $92.45. So very, very competitive. The Aetna name, what it's going to pay, what it's not going to pay, and here is the footprint for Home Care Plus. Texas is approved. And there you go. You can see that. Take a picture if you like. But like I said, if we're not in the state, doesn't mean we don't want to be. I promise they're always trying. And, very quickly, that's going to disappear on you. But I want you to see this. AARP, if you didn't know this, is partnering with Medico. And yes, I'm talking about a different carrier, but I think this is important. AARP is going to offer short-term nursing care to the 38 million members. So you're going to find more and more people out there are going to know about short-term nursing care and that it's available. But it's right now, Medico's only using, or AARP is only using call centers. I hear that it's going to be let go to their agents. So it's a very good time to be out there talking about short-term care. And for me, it's all about increased consumer awareness that this is big. And agents are going to know about it, but the consumer is going to know about it. So you may have a better opportunity if they're looking at something from AARP. I can tell you right now, I've already looked at the medical plan. Nothing wrong with it. It's just ours is better because you can get 2 years of benefit. Theirs is all encapsulated into one, and ours is less expensive. So those are all winners. And right away, while you're getting contracted, you can do this today before you're even contracted and play around with the pricing. If you go to the App Store for either iPhone or Android, do not put in Aetna, just put in quotes on the go, and you have a mobile rate calculator right there in your hand with your mobile phone or even your tablet. And you do not have to put the dashes in there, just quotes on the go. And you will find it, and trust me, you will love this. No login needed. Anyone can use this. Just zip code, date of birth, and you're off to the races. And you'll love that. And don't forget this. Aetna's been around, like I said, a long time. Aetna paid the very first Medicare benefit. A lot of people don't know that, so that's pretty darn big. And this is the man. Craig, it's all yours. I know that was long and a lot of information, but if there's any, let's see here. I will look to see if there's any questions.
I don't think I don't see any, but I guess you see them on your end. Jamie, that was a fantastic presentation. You managed the time perfectly, and you were incredibly thorough. So, really appreciate you and the other Aetna, the rest of the Aetna team, including Dan, putting this together, and Suzanne there at the home office. You guys did a stellar job. And here is my information. You guys will also, and gals, will also receive an email from us, a follow-up email probably on Monday. We're going to give you the top contract for the Aetna short-term care products. So again, call us at the number here, take the screenshot or email me, and we'd be happy to work with you. Again, I appreciate everyone's time today. And if there's no questions, we'll conclude. Thank you all.
I'll tell you what, Craig, there are a couple of questions here if you want me to answer those. Yeah,
please.
Yeah, and there's quite a few. Let's see, I'll go through some of these. Oh, some are asking for the slides. I'll tell you what I'll do, Craig, I'll send you out. Yeah, I can't send the presentation the way it was interactive, but I can send like stills of it, and I'll get that to Craig. Need info on Texas, Peter says. Peter Livingston says. So Peter, call Craig. They'll get you going. Is it possible to try the e-app out on a test version basis? Well, once you call Craig and you get appointed, you'll be able to log in, and they have what's called a sandbox, and you can play around with the e-app. You can't play around with it until you get contracted, though. What states are the plans approved in? That's from Robert, and I think you saw that, Robert. Is restoration benefits in all states? No. Texas, it is not in Texas, and there's one other state, and I can't believe I'm going blank on this, but I'll get that to Craig too. But Texas would not allow us to have that. So you can do a maximum of 360 days in Texas, and you can see that on the brochure too. Once you get appointed, you'll have access to all the brochures, everything. And let's see. I thought because of observation, this would cover observation. Observation is covered on that hospital rider, and it doesn't matter if they're in observation because they do not have to be in a hospital. But if they are in a hospital under observation, that hospital benefit will pay for observation stays. You're saying home care must be from a licensed person from the state, not a family member. Actually, it's not a licensed person. It needs to be a licensed home health care agency. So if that person works for an agency, they're good to go. Or if they have a business license where they have a home health care agency in their, in a name, then I'm sure that would be fine. Are you able to use the home care and move directly to skilled nursing facility without 6-month wait? Yes, that's a great question. Can you move back and forth? Like if you're using home care for 6 months and then you want to access your nursing facility care or assisted living, you do not have to have 6 months in between that. As long as you still, the triggers are met, you can go right into a nursing home, assisted living without skipping a beat. So you could use, if for instance, an example, you want to keep mom home, let's keep mom home for a year. We have the policy. And if that doesn't work, we'll transfer into assisted living. You can do that seamlessly. She would just have to qualify for the assisted living at the end of the year for the home health care. Great question, though. And let's see, I think we got a couple of more. Oh, they want to know if they have waiver of premium. No, there is no waiver of premium while you're using the benefits.
Question.
And I'm sorry?
Oh, I just said that was a good question on the waiver of premium.
Yes, very good, very good. And just so you know, there's no non-forfeiture rider. There's none of those bells and whistles you see on long-term care, because really they did not want this to look like a long-term care plan, even though it takes care of, the same things. So you're not going to find those type of riders. There's no return of premium riders or any of those things on there. Can we get the slides? Another person asked. And let's see. Can you sell 2 home care plans or 1 recovery care and home care to the same person? You can, and I think what they're asking is this, like if someone has an existing plan, let's say I sold them a recovery care plan for $200 a day. And later on they say to me, Jamie, I would really like to have more coverage. I can sell them another recovery care plan as long as I don't go over the maximum of $300. That's a company maximum or policy maximum. So if they have $200 on one plan a day, I can only give them another $100. I can't give them another $200 or $300. So it'll max out always at $300 a day. Same way on the home care. And let's see, home care, you all are having great questions. Home health care, generally, they want a minimum of 2 to 3 hours per visit, not 1 hour. Right, and that's very true, but just remember, the requirement for Aetna is only 1 hour. So it's less than what typically they're going to get anyway. So Aetna, you don't have to jump through hoops. They make it the requirements as small as possible. And I just want to say this. I typically go to the long-term care conference every year, except for this year, since they didn't have it. We have a booth out there. So next year, hopefully we'll be there. Come out and see us there. And there are companies, third parties that work for carriers that help determine if someone can perform 2 or more activities or if they're cognitively impaired. A doctor might say, they can't perform these activities. But if that third party tells the carrier, no, they can perform it, that carrier doesn't pay. Aetna doesn't do that. It is strictly the doctor, their doctor, personal doctor, that says they can't perform the activities or they're cognitively impaired. Aetna Senior Supplemental isn't second guessing anyone. So, and we're almost done. Are these considered coordinated? I think that's what you're saying. Oh, guaranteed renewable. Yes, all the plans are guaranteed renewable. Great information. Thank you. What if you're already contracted with Aetna for other products? Okay, if you're appointed with Aetna, like let's say Medicare Advantage, that's not going to get you these products. You want to call Craig and let him help you. And I would say if you're already with Aetna Senior Supplemental, give Craig a call and let him figure out, who you're with or if you really have it. That's what I would do. I would call Craig regardless and just verify that you have it, because he can verify that for you. All indemnity, correct? That's what the question is from Howard. Yes, everything is an indemnity. Will pay its full benefit. And if I'm already appointed with Aetna Senior Supplemental, I need not a new appointment. Again, call Craig and he will help you to know all those answers, because it really depends on a couple of things. And what about exclusions? Well, yeah, there are exclusions on the plan. That's the last question. What about exclusions? Normal things. It doesn't pay for pregnancy. Doesn't pay for hang gliding, any of those type things. You'll see the normal exclusions. There's really nothing. It's very small, little exclusions in there, and you'll see that. So, Craig, sorry, I know I went over again, but great questions from your group. A lot of good people.
Thank you. No, I almost cut you short there. I couldn't see the question, so sorry about that. No, that was fantastic. You answered them. And again, give me a call or send me an email, and we'll answer any of the other questions you have, and hopefully get you contracted and up and running with the Aetna short-term care policies. So with that, I will conclude, and thank you all for attending. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.